Matrix will feel a little weird.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Hey kids, welcome to Grumpy Nostalgia, the Second Look Cinema podcast, the show where we go back to the blockbuster new release wall of our memory, we grab a copy off the shelf, we pop it in our old VCR, and we see what time has done to it. I'm Justin, that's Mike.
I know Kung Fu.
I do too. I know Gun Fu. And together we're going to help you navigate all the landmines littered down memory lane. Mike, last week was a bit of a chore.
Oh yeah, we picked this one. We picked the scab known as the Postman off. Yes,
for those of you that might be joining us for the first time, first of all, where you been at? Second of all, we decided we want to take ourselves to the ringer a little bit. We're going to call this part 2 of our Trail of Tears series, where me and Mike have decided to go back and look at movies that were a particular thorn in our sides in our cinema history. Mike was brave enough to toss out The Postman last week. That led to some interesting crosstalk. My turn. I'm going to take one that's probably going to make us lose a few fans. I don't know. I'm not sure. I hope it doesn't. But this is an unpopular take. But my movie that falls in that ditch for me, unfortunately, Mike, is The Matrix from 1999.
Yeah, you don't abide pretentiousness, and this movie's kind of chock full of it. Probably to you.
There's two things I don't suffer, Mike.
Yep.
Wigs and pretentiousness. So this movie, actually, this is the 25th anniversary. This movie came out 25 years ago, just a few weeks ago.
Oh my gosh.
Happy birthday, Cool Breeze Over the Mountain.
That's right.
Yeah. How come he looks so much better after 25 years than we do, Mike?
I know, right? You shave off the beard and the mustache, and he could redo this movie without any kind of CGI.
I know. It's yeah. Oh, well. What's done is done.
I know.
All right, so we're going to kind of jump in here right away so we can kind of get to more fun stuff. So, Mike, if you're ready, let's just, let's enter the construct, shall we?
Yes. What is the
Matrix? It's your blue pill or your red pill moment at home. So decide which one we want to do here. So this was directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski, formerly Larry and Andy. Brothers from Chicago, Mike. So they got that going for them so far.
Just like sticks.
But they transitioned a couple years ago and have been creating a lot of content over the years. This took 14 drafts to present to the studio. They were not really well known at the studios at that time. They had written the movie Assassins as a spec script and sold it and were kind of the hot properties for a while. And then last week's movie scriptwriter got hold of it and rewrote the whole thing. Brian Helgeland.
Yeah.
So then Sharon Stone and Sly took over and took care of the rest. But they were kind of hot property, and they realized that was a learning lesson for them. They decided they'd have to kind of go their own way if they wanted to get their movies made the right way. So they wrote and directed the next movie, Bound, which I think we're both pretty big fans
Joey
of.
Pants, yeah.
Yeah, great movie. They were also responsible for Speed Racer, Cloud Atlas, Jupiter Ascending.
Oh boy,
Sense8.
That
Netflix.
Was you want pretentiousness doesn't even scratch the surface with that series and the Cloud Atlas movie. My goodness.
Yeah, and I think they wrote but did not direct V for Vendetta, which is a relatively good movie.
Yeah,
with Agent Smith again there.
That's right. L. Ron himself.
You can tell by the themes of their films, they have a type, they have a niche they kind of fill into. We'll get to more about those guys later, more about those ladies later. Sorry, gotta be right, Mike.
2024, Justice, not 1999. Okay,
right. Damn pronouns, I can't get them straight. This was released on March 31st, 1999, as we alluded to earlier, and had a budget of what would have been $180 million in the U.S., but they shot it in Australia for $62 million.
Crikey. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Really?
Well, before
the dollar goes that far down there in Sydney.
Those guys from Lord of the Rings got it right. In fact, a couple of the producers of Lord of the Rings were producers on this project as well. So they went on a budget, and I may have some criticism of this movie as we go, Mike, but the aesthetic of it, I won't complain about. It did look good, shot well. But there's more to it than that, and I guess we'll kind of flesh that out as we go in. So, Mike, why don't we get into the cast of this movie and see what there's more for me to complain about there?
Yeah, well, like you alluded to, the cast is lousy with Vegemite, Fosters, swilling Aussies, and Kiwis. So I'm not going to even go into those. But, that a lot of the cast fodder in here is just those guys. But you also had, Hugo Weaving. You just mentioned him.
Yeah.
He's playing Agent Smith and Elrond, and actually he's a native Nigerian. So go figure, huh?
Yeah. It's a little known fact that his full name is in Tolkien literature's L. Ron Hubbard. Do you know that, Mike?
No.
Tell all your friends that.
Keanu Reeves. This is his was this our fourth Keanu Reeves movie now?
I want to say 4, yeah.
Speed, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Point Break. Yeah, so this would be 4.
Number 4. With a bullet, Mike.
That's right.
Many
Kung
of them.
Fu with guns, like you say, Gun Fu. And he does some of his typical Keanu Reeves acting. This one is not a lot of heavy lifting on his side. Carrie-Anne Moss is the female Trinity in this movie. She's been pretty hot property lately as far as being a lot of Marvel and even some Star Wars stuff now.
Yeah.
She was with Joey Pants in Memento, one of my favorites.
Oh, great movie, yeah.
Yeah, and he's more known for driving Amy the gorilla around the Nairobi airport. but he's like some other parts too.
Amy, pretty, ugly woman.
Amy.
Lawrence Fishburne, one of my favorite actors.
Nice,
he plays Morpheus, and that voice. He just you can't. It's like almost smooth as Barry White.
Yeah.
I've forgotten he was in Apocalypse Now. He was on the boat, and
yeah,
one of the
14 years old, left home. Yeah,
it's crazy, right? But yeah, he's been in so many movies. Not even bother listing him here. And then pretty much that's it. I'm not going to go any further. Is that enough? There were some good. I mean, like I said, I'd glossed over the Australians and New Zealand contingent in this movie, but
yeah.
Like even the guy who played Mouse, or especially the guy who played Tank, were really good actors. And it's weird you don't really see them in many other mainstream movies.
I beg to differ, Mike. The guy that played Mouse was the guy that offered Obi-Wan Kenobi death sticks in Attack of the Clones.
You want to buy some death sticks?
You don't want to sell me death sticks.
Don't you want to buy some, Mike? Sorry, I didn't mean to dispel your point there. Sorry.
maybe a media role is probably what he needed.
There you go.
Like I say, their acting seemed pretty good. I can't complain about any of that in this movie. So
okay, fair enough.
Kudos to them.
So some notes on that cast, Mike. Carrie-Anne Moss, who's I think if I had to like anybody in the cast, I think it was her. Big fan of her. I think her look is weird. She's like a woman. She's not like a girl parading as a woman. When you see her, she's like, wow.
Yeah. Wasn't Sandra Bullock supposed to be? Wasn't there a rumor? I remember that at the time.
Look at you going right for it. Yeah. Her and Sandra Bullock and Gillian Anderson were considered for the role.
Gillian Anderson. Wow.
Yeah. Carrie-Anne ended up getting it at the end. She was a real badass. I mean, she did all her stunts herself for the most part, like 95% of them. On the first day of shooting, she severely twisted her ankle and just played through the pain because she was afraid she was going to get recast. So she does most of the movie with the sprained ankle, which I thought was pretty badass. You mentioned Lawrence Fishburne. That role for Morpheus was also considered for Gary Oldman and Samuel L. Jackson, of course.
What about Roy Jones Jr.? Was he considered?
I don't know. I'll dig a little deeper next time, Mike. Sorry. Okay. Will Smith was originally cast as Neo, but he left to do Wild Wild West. Wasn't quite sure of the plot. Didn't really understand the plot. So I guess the Wild Wild West plot was more attainable.
This came out before, right? There was another movie we were going to do. Will Smith was considered, and he's like, "No, I'm doing the Wild West. I heard it's going to be good." Yeah.
Most of Hollywood's main actors were offered this. Johnny Depp, Brad Pitt. Wow. You just go down the list of anybody that was in Hollywood at that time. They went through a lot of people, settled on Keanu. We mentioned Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano. Is that his name, Mike?
Yeah, Pantoliano.
You talk about being typecast as a creep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know of one movie or TV show where he's not slimy.
Yeah.
The slimy is the word that comes to mind.
Not good, yeah. This was primarily shot in Sydney, Australia, as we mentioned earlier, but except for the exception of the rooftop scene that was shot in Nashville.
All right.
I understand. This was the first instance of the special effect was commonly known today as bullet time. It was pretty innovative for the time. In fact, it was so innovative, it was ripped off more than 20 times in the next 3 years. notably Spider-Man, Underworld series, Charlie's Angels, Kung Pao, Enter the Fist.
I was gonna say it's got to be some. There were so many
When he fights
parodies.
the cow, that was fantastic. But yeah, the body count here is 39, Mike. I'll get to that in a minute.
Hmm.
This is a 80-day shoot that ballooned to 118 days. Not too terrible given the scope and the technical achievements of this film. And before Keanu says his big speech there at the end of the first act, he had not managed to string together a sentence that had 5 words in a row in it. So you got to get to the second act before he. I think 95% of his dialogue or questions too, Mike, which is a
Yeah.
but a lot of woes and
Oh.
whats and I think they call that the Rihanna method of acting, Mike.
Oh, from Battleship.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
well employed by a lot of actors today. But this was a big movie. Despite my dislike for it, I can't deny its impact on pop culture, for at least, but certainly one of the bigger action movies of all time. Speaking of movies, Mike, this came out, as I mentioned, the end of March, well, on the same weekend as 10 Things I Hate About You. And it managed to stay on the top list for quite some time, competing against Entrapment, which came out the next week after that. The Mummy, a movie that we covered way back when, Mike. But of course, on May 19th, The Phantom Menace came out and took care of that summer. But you had early spring there for movies in 99. Top movies that year were The Phantom Menace, of course, followed closely by The Sixth Sense, Austin Powers, Toy Story 2, and The Matrix was number 5. Of course, Shakespeare in Love won Best Picture that year, Mike, narrowly nudging out Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh.
So what do you remember about music, Mike? On the top 40 charts when this movie came out that weekend, you had the girls from TLC saying they would accept no scrubs.
I don't want none.
And we got to listen how Cher believes.
After Love? Is it
Life After Love? Yeah, I do. So do I. Little known fact about me, Mike. My Name Is by Eminem came out that summer. That was the third spot. And fourth one was Malibu by the band Hole. And
so weird.
I raise this because I've been suspicious of this for quite some time. I'm not what we'd call a conspiracy theorist, Mike. But this is during the time that she was dating Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins. And that entire album that Hole did, tell me that's not a Smashing Pumpkins song. I think he wrote and produced that entire album for her, but that's just me being grumpy.
No, not at all.
Yeah, some other things in pop culture that we're just mildly chatting about in the lobby waiting to go see The Matrix. Susan Lucci finally wins her daytime Emmy after 19 tries. So
there you go.
The world got put back on its axis. Speaking of the world, Gary Kasparov played the world in a chess match, and he beat the world. The world, 51% of the people representing the world said they would retire at a certain time in the match. So Gary Kasparov beat the entire world playing chess. Not much of an ego on Gary, so I'm sure he just took this in stride. Tommy Chong was granted the first medical marijuana card in existence.
Figures.
Yeah. It's callbacks to The Office, Michael Scott talking about how drugs are bad for you. Imagining how funny the Cheech and Chong would have been if they weren't on drugs. All right. So speaking of drugs, I took the pill, the red pill, in 1999 when I watched this, but 25 years of it have not sat well with me, Mike. And I think we should just probably go through it and let me have my say so I can get some closure on it.
We need
feel free to interject with the questions.
I was going to save my Q&A for the end of the presentation, probably.
Okay.
Please save your questions until I'm through.
All right, so we're in the lobby. We're psyched up. We're talking about Susan Lucci, and I think we're ready to go in, Mike. So why don't you hit the button? We get a bunch of green code on the screen, a bunch of Asian characters kind of going up and down.
Very green movie, wasn't it?
Yeah, very.
I feel like the whole time there was a green filter, some kind of gauze put over the camera.
I think they actually. It's weird. I think they took blue, the color blue, filtered that out to give that kind of artificial feel of those worlds.
Yeah.
So good catch there, Mike. So 3 of our main characters, Trinity, Cypher, and Morpheus. I think they got those names off D&D trading cards, but they're reviewing this code and they're just looking for this guy they call the One. And they're trying to decipher it, and the cops end up showing up in the room that they're doing this in, followed by a bunch of sunglassed agents. They kind of storm the building, and it leads to this big kind of first action set piece where they come in and start shooting at Trinity. And this is one of many kind of mindless, over the top action scenes that kind of just accelerate through the course of the film. This is where the music starts kicking in. I guess they felt
Yes.
they put a techno beat behind any shoot. It had to be cool, right?
Remember Prodigy was big at this time, so he had
Oh,
to
that's
use
right.
any.
Yeah, okay. But they come to the conclusion after this that they're looking for some guy named Neo that might be some help to whatever they're trying to do. So, cut to said Neo, that he's known as mild-mannered Keanu Reeves here, playing Tom Anderson. We see him kind of sleeping over his desk. He's implied that he's some sort of hacker at night, and he gets a knock on his door. And meanwhile, his computer is telling him that he comes to life and starts talking to him, Mike, like this kind of AI type thing, way ahead of its time. Tells him to follow the White Rabbit.
Yeah.
And then a raver shows up to get some sort of hacked material off this disc from him. And he notices she's got a white rabbit tattoo on her arm. And she asks him if he wants to come to the club. And of course, he just does. And that leads to a drawn out club scene, which the Wachowskis seem to love.
Oh yeah.
Remember in the
They love
second one, there's like 13-minute club rave scene that had
the guy with the hot chick and the twins.
went on
Yeah.
forever.
They love their white zombie too.
That's good enough. So who doesn't really? But she leads him to this back room where he gets introduced to Trinity, and they start to introduce each other and try to lay out some exposition about what he's needed for. But before he can do that, of course, the agents storm the club and take hold of him and start to question him because the agents are tipped off by the original exposition of the film. Next thing you know, he doesn't have a mouth, and he's getting strapped into this chair, and they, I guess, interrogate him, and they put some sort of like steel shrimp in his belly button.
Looked like it, yeah.
Not
They
cool.
want to have him lead him to Morpheus.
Yeah. So
Apparently, he's this master criminal that Neo's been following and admires for some reason. I'm
Yeah.
not quite sure.
they're proud of some sort of underground resistance that the agents don't like. So we don't know much more about it then, but we'll get to that in here a second. So of course it's you get the jump scare, wake up screen thing where it's just a dream, Mike.
It was all a dream.
Don't worry about investing any time into this. It was all not real. So he gets a phone call, tells him to, if he wants to know what's really going on, to meet him on the bridge. Morpheus asks Tron to come meet him. Sorry, Neo. To meet him on the bridge. And he lays down the story about there was a war and no one knows who started it, but machines have taken over. And there's a world called Zion, which is the last human stronghold, and what they're
coolest scene in the movie, actually. You know, where they're
not
both
bad.
sitting in the chairs facing each other, and I mean, Lawrence Fishburne's voice alone could just carry that scene. You know, just the way he describes it, and you know, the only thing I'd had trouble with was the fact you can't be told what the Matrix is; you have to take a pill. I would imagine you could probably describe it to somebody in some way without having to like actually have them go through the process.
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that, Mike, because this movie is, for an action film, is incredibly heavy on exposition. There is tons and tons and tons of probably needless at the end of the day. Spoon feeding, you might want to even call it. But you know, typically when I watch these things, I write down bullet points in real time as I watch the movie.
There's a lot of tell and don't show kind of.
Yeah, but for this one, I cheated a little bit because I was watching this movie and I just kind of drifted in and out. So I went to a web page that had a plot synopsis, and the synopsis, which is a abbreviated version, allegedly, was nearly 7 pages long of everything that's going on here. So that's okay. This is a precursor of things to come, Mike, with my problem with it. So this is where he's offered the red pill or the blue pill. The blue pill offers just ignorance is bliss. He doesn't know what's going on. He can continue to live his life in the artificial matrix that these machines have created. Or he can take the red pill and get exposed to what the real world really is. And he chooses the red pill. And he wakes up in some sort of body snatcher pod. And he gets a glimpse of what the real world is like. And the machines have used humans as power sources, I think. Like, is that...
That's what they use human beings thought if they took away the sun from the machines would lose their power. But the machines just figured out that humans were, harvesting humans would be enough power they could draw from the heat energy, also just the you know, I don't. It's implied that the power from the human body can supply these machines.
Okay. Makes sense.
It's kind of a weird science. It's one of those shut off your science brain, just relax kind of thing.
Oh,
But
okay. Yeah, that's a good one too. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Thank you. All right. So he says yes, and he follows Morpheus down to his ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, where he's introduced to the gang, a bunch of cyberpunks with cool cyberpunk computer names. We get introduced to what the construct is versus the Matrix here, and we get essentially what the plot is. They're trying to overthrow the machines, and there's a prophecy that says Neo's the one that can do it. Yeah, I love it. I love a good prophecy, Mike. So to prepare him for this world, they take Tron and they start to train him. Sorry, Neo.
yeah,
They because they live in the construct, they can automatically upload all the stuff they need to know, just like in Demolition Man. Like they can just
that's
download
right.
all the information in his brain.
Instantly. That's right.
So
That's how Wesley Snipes knew all the how they work
so
all those machines and guns and stuff, man.
no reason to get clever in the plot to convince that. They just do it that way. That's easy. As I mentioned, the prophecy, they say there was a man that was born inside the Matrix, therefore he's the one that could probably take it down. And they all really kind of suspect that Neo is the guy. So in order to get that level, they need to do all this training. So there's a lot of wire
Jesus
rigging.
references.
Yeah, there's a lot of you talked about messianic in the last film, Mike. I think
Yeah.
that carries over here very well. But there's a lot of Hong Kong wire special effects and stunts and all that good stuff for about 7 or 8 hours in the middle of the movie. There's these sentinels that are these squid things that are always on the hunt for these people. They're always around. And it turns out one of the guys on the inside, Joey Pants, Mike of all people, he does he does
Who
a heel
could have predicted
turn.
that? He could
Does
not
a
have seen
heel.
that coming. I swear.
Yeah, heel turn.
Yeah.
He's tired of living in this fake world and fighting and living like a destitute. He decides he wants to live in ignorance is bliss stage, so he rats out the whole gang to the bad guys, Agent Smith among them, and they come and kind of raid the place and kill all the good guys. Meanwhile, Morpheus and Neo go to see the Oracle, which I still don't understand what that was all about. Mike.
Okay. Real talk here. I've seen this movie a lot,
Yeah.
and it almost needs a book. We were talking about the Postman last time and how maybe the book would have helped explain some things in the movie.
I think the first movie should have been 3 movies.
Yeah. I mean, there was so much going on. The Oracle is just so bizarre. You can't. They try to give you like real science in this movie, but then they throw out something like her, and you're like, how does she know this stuff? What is her?
I mean,
Is she a program? How can she predict the future? They lifted it from the realm of computer feasibility to
with Greek mythology,
magic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, well, you brought in the supernatural. Why did you do that?
Well, that's where when I first saw, like I said, I'll get to that. My first view, I was pretty good with this. I still didn't understand what this was, even though I was relatively pleased the first time I saw this. So the third act is essentially just, Neo coming into his own, becoming the guy he's supposed to be, the Luke Skywalker, if you will.
Yeah.
Agent Smith, played by Hugo Weaving, is played very well. There's lots of fight scenes here. The third act is essentially one big action sequence of fighting and kung fu and guns and clips getting emptied and stone being broken and all that good stuff. Squibs going off. At the end, they're fighting and there's he corners Neo and like shoots him 6 times point blank in the chest, Mike.
Oh yeah.
But Neo is the one, so he doesn't die. And then that's when Trinity and Morpheus start to understand that he's becoming the one right in front of their eyes. And he starts doing all the bullet time stuff and the super fast kung fu and the Peter Parker Spidey sense stuff. He ends up fighting with Agent Smith in a train in subway, and he smashes him to death. And then he comes outside and he decides that he's going to live in the Matrix. He puts on his sunglasses and then he jettisons himself into the air, and they fly now, Mike.
Yes.
They fly now. And then Hugh Rage Against the Machine. So that was good. I mean, their ending credits.
Yeah, that ending gets you pumped up.
Soundtrack is great. Don't get me wrong. I won't sweat that one. That's a good one. So.
It's just it was weird to have the contradictory Marilyn Manson song after it. That was like if you
Yeah.
listen to the lyrics, say the exact opposite of what the Rage Against the Machine song just said.
It's like the Smashing Pumpkins thing at the end of Batman's, followed closely by R. Kelly song.
Yeah.
They admit. Did they think
Yeah.
these things out at all?
Hey,
That's a good question. Maybe we should do a podcast about this, Mike. And any credit songs. And we have yet to get like a good
it will be good. Yeah.
one that makes sense at least, you know?
We could just go back through what we've already like done. You're right. And
Because we had what Kevin Costner and
yeah,
Amy Grant singing last month or last week.
yeah. And then you have the How Can I Live Without You song and Con Air.
Oh,
It's just there is a whole plethora of stuff we could go through. And then you got the obvious crap like the Rolling Stones ripoff song from
yeah.
Vampire movie. It's like, come on.
The only one that comes to mind that makes sense out of the last 20 years was Iron Man. Ozzy playing Iron Man, the end of Iron Man. See, they figured it out. Anyway, so figuring out is this interesting phrase there. So let's remember that here for a second. But first of all, let's go through the awards and accolades, Mike. So not needless to say, this movie was giant. It had a $28 million opening. Ended up doing $172 million domestically, and it had a $467 million box office worldwide.
Wow.
Essentially created the genre known as gun fu. If you look at like John Wick, even it's pretty close to what The Matrix was 25 years ago. Fostered 3 horrible sequels. One that me and Mike tried to watch in the theater the following summer and didn't quite make it. I think Mike actually went into the third movie himself. I bailed out. And a 4th movie on HBO Max. I think it was Revolutions or
Resurrections. Yeah.
Regurgitation,
Yeah.
Revolting, something to read. I think there's another one on the way, Mike. I think in April they announced that they're yet another.
But I thought yeah, that's you know what? That's a big bugaboo I have with these streaming platform kind of movies is
Yeah.
you never hear a full accounting of what they made or how many eyeballs actually watched it. And so
Yeah.
when they come out with a second movie, you're like, oh, that first one must have done really well. And you
I
never
don't-
know. I mean,
yeah.
I don't think Resurrections did great, but
Who knows?
Just
Yeah.
who knows exactly.
How the hell did that many people watch Bridgerton? That thing was garbage. That's the greatest thing Netflix ever had. Bridgerton, really?
Who watched this? Come on.
I'm calling shenanigans, Mike. I don't
I hear
believe
you.
it. So this movie ended up with 4 Oscar awards at editing. Whoa, really? Sound editing. Sorry, visuals and sound effects. Won all those. It was entered into the National Film Registry in 2012. That's kind of a big deal. He won 3 Blockbuster Movie Awards, Mike, representing my old employer.
All right.
Yeah. But of course, MTV is where it really shined its best, Mike. It won Best Movie, Best Male Performance, Best Fight, beating out such other nominees as The Phantom Menace, the Darth Maul scene, Tyler Durden fighting with himself, and the Austin Powers fighting Mini-Me, which I think here is just a grave miscarriage of justice. That was the best fight. Yeah. But it is what it is. I mean, it's a great example of a great idea that kind of got off the rails, a little bit out of control, in my opinion. Again, I'm not saying this is a bad movie. I'm just saying I didn't like it. But we'll get that here in a minute. So why don't we just go? Speaking of that, why don't we just do it now, Mike? Let's run through our grumpy meter. Why don't you talk about the first time you saw it, and then you're in your most recent watch, how your opinions changed one way or the other?
Yeah, for me it was kind of a word of mouth thing. I don't think I had a reason really to see it until I heard some of my friends saw it, and it was such a new, unique thing to see, like the fighting and the bullet dodging kind of effects, and I think that's what hooked a lot of people in seeing it for repeat viewings or for viewings much later after it opened. Like I didn't see it till probably Memorial Day weekend, so we're talking month and a half after it opened, and it was still pretty big in the theaters at the time when I saw it. And I remember just being so pumped after watching it. It was so slick and so stylishly done. I wasn't so troubled by the lore or the world building they'd created and some of the science behind it. I thought it was neat. AI is still kind of a new concept in 1999, so it's still kind of like, ooh, I don't know about it anyway, so enjoy. But yeah, I think what hurt me in repeat watchings of it was knowing what came after it. That this movie ends with such a kick-ass scene. He defeats the agents at the end. He virtually atomizes Agent Smith when he gets inside him, and
Yeah.
he flies up in the air, and then they rages again. Then the music starts, and you're just like, yeah, that
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
fantastic, and you're ready for the second movie. And as soon as you watch the second movie a few years later, you see, okay, oh wow, they're in Zion. Who cares? And oh no, more talking about the machines, and they're going to attack Zion. And
Oh, I love the 18-minute architect monologue
oh yeah, that
at the
comes
third
later on.
and the film third hour.
Yeah,
That was great.
and it just that had movie happen, and then the third movie happened. There had to be a third one because this was had to be a trilogy, of
It's the
course.
rule of three in Hollywood.
Yeah, and then there's some, like, again, slick action scenes, but there's also so much exposition, and
Yeah.
I
That
think
that
I
freeway
couldn't
scene
even
with the
follow it.
twins, the freeway scene with those twins, that was really great.
Yeah,
But
or the
that was
Asian
like,
guy with all the keys.
yeah,
It
but that
was,
was 3 minutes.
I know, and it was just these prolonged, almost discussions about what are machines?
Yeah.
Why are we trying to survive? Why can't we be back in the normal world? It's just a lot of just talk, 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 and I think
Yeah.
it's like in the end, the second and third movies kind of soured my thoughts of the first original movie, which is
Yeah.
if it was a standalone movie, I would have it much higher than I do. But it's
Sure.
like I said, I loved it. It was well done at the time, but now upon many more watchings of it, and it's a good movie. But considering what came after it, it's kind of dulled my appetite for watching the first one again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good take. So I'm going to start mine with quoting the noted poet Brian Johnson from AC/DC, who made who, Mike.
All right.
So I don't know. This movie is not one of my favorites. And again, folks, I'm not saying it's a bad one. I'm just saying I don't like it. So don't at me or any of that crap. Um, I find the only way to fight pretentiousness, Mike, is with pretentiousness. So here it goes. So the first time I saw this film, the day before I'd driven 16 hours from Charlotte to Chicago to see my wife, who had not yet moved down to Charlotte with me. And I was waiting for her to get off work, and I went into a mall theater because I had like 3 hours to kill. And I watched this by myself pretty much during the day. And I didn't know anything about it. I said, well, this is on and I'm here. So that was how I picked it. And I sat through it, and I probably would have gave it a 3 out of 5. I wasn't blown away, but I thought it was, being a fan of like Hong Kong cinema, and I could appreciate what they're trying to do here. And I just seen Ghost in the Shell when I was working at Blockbuster a few years earlier, and this is really kind of I don't want to say ripoff, at least an homage to that movie, Mike. If you saw that anime, I think the girls at Secondhand Nostalgia will back me up on this one. But it's a really good anime that's just I really liked, and I could see inspiration in that here. So I walked out of the movie, and I didn't really think about it again. And then I went back, a few years later to watch, a streaming version of it, or pay-per-view back then. And I was just kind of overwhelmed. It was like I probably had exponentially grown a little bit in my cynicism. And I looked at things like this again with the leather dusters and the sunglasses. And, we had people in my high school that wore leather dusters all the time. We called them like
Douches.
virgins. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it just seems so try hard to coin a phrase, term. It seemed kind of forced. And then, but as I watched it more and more, I just really got caught up in the phenomenon known as this is where the pretentiousness comes in, Mike. The Deus ex machina element of it. For those that aren't familiar with that pretentious term, it's the Greek form for a god from a machine, or a more common way to explain that is plot contrivance. And there's only so much things I can take as a film goer. I'm not a big fan of it's all a dream or we can do anything we want. I like the work that screenwriters do to make things plausible.
Right.
Neo doesn't know how to fight. Okay, well, instead of showing training sessions and write exposition to add time to the movie, they just download it in his brain, and next thing you know, he's Bruce Lee. That's the kind of stuff. There's never any tension. Even to I mean, how many rounds of ammunition were used for this film versus how many people were actually shot? If they do get shot, they don't die. And we're back to that thing again, Mike, that just is my pet peeve in movies. That when people die, they should die. Neo got shot 6 times point blank. He's bleeding. Blood's coming out. I mean, even back in the real world, in the chair, blood's coming out of his mouth. He's dead. They went so far to establish that what happens to you in the Matrix can happen to you in the real world. So he gets shot 6 times in the chest. He's fine. But I just don't like films that use that Machina framework. Like,
A kiss brings him back, though. It's
yeah, okay, well,
a
yeah,
lover's
okay.
kiss.
Like when Quint in Jaws dies, he dies, right? When the guys
Right.
in Alien die, they die. Like when Old Yeller, well, you know what I mean. When you die, right? But there's never any tension, and that's all I could think about on my second, third, fourth, fifth watches of these things. Plus the horrible experience of seeing that the Matrix Reloaded in the theaters. I just kind of swore it off and just again, I'm fighting pretentiousness with pretentiousness. I understand that, but in a world full of choices, this is just one I choose not to go back to. There's other things I can watch that are more entertaining to me, and
Right.
I don't suffer these things for, well, there it is. So that's my take, guys. I apologize if you've been a fan of me for a long time and you don't like me anymore. I get it. It's fine. What took you so long? But that's really kind of makes me a loser on this front. But oh well.
It's more of the look and I guess I don't know. I know where you're coming from because, like I said, you watch a movie like Cloud Atlas, and I get the same vibe because there's
Yeah.
just so much. It's trying to be a level above your thinking that
Yeah.
it's that which would be the definition of pretentiousness, but in a way, it's done in this package, such a
Uh,
slick, stylish package that I don't know. I guess I liked it because it was kind of ideas of AI and
uh-huh.
the download. It had such great ideas, but like I said, when they brought in, the Neo resurrection, like you kind of, expressed as being stupid, and it is. It's like, why bring in magic and supernatural elements into a movie that seems like it would be a good, just plain straight sci-fi,
Yeah.
kind of
I,
thing. Like you say, they established the rule of what happens to you out there affects, kills you in the real world,
yeah.
and apparently not. Like you say, they broke the rule. It's like as soon as you break a rule like that, I can see
You can
someone
break a rule to establish some sort of conflict or a plot twist, but if you spend an inordinate amount of time establishing these
saying,
rules,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't
I
know.
no 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 no. I do understand. I know it's
I don't want to take your fan. I don't want to take your enjoyment of this movie away because I'm petty and selfish. You can like
I
this movie, Mike. It's okay. I don't know.
no. I like I said, I loved it at the time. I
Okay.
like it now, even watching it with our kind of grumpy lens.
Yeah.
I even like the little touch where they show the Night of the Lepus on the TV. Nice,
Yeah. I mean,
But
I
it has such little like nice little touches, and even the making the real world look,
yeah.
almost machine-like, and having that blue filter or bluish greenish kind of look to it.
Right.
It's interesting. There's a lot of artistry that goes into it, but
Okay.
artistry can only take you so far. You got to have a story that backs it up, and if it has elements that don't make sense, then it's hard to swallow
Fair
looking
enough.
back on it.
Well, like I said, people that listen to me and my take kind of know where I come from, and I'm generally very forgiving of things. I did not like this movie. However, I'm from the Midwest, so I have to say something at least nice. It was original, and things they did borrow from were truly cool and inspirational and deserved to be borrowed from. I'll give you that. The aesthetic was great. The effects were great. Just too much style and too much
Yeah.
substance, if that's even a thing. But for what it was at the time, I'll give it its props. But again, it's like, you know, someone gave the gun to the baby. They got carried away with something that was too big and
Yeah, well,
yeah,
like I said,
really full of themselves. So
it's almost unfortunate this movie did so well to create two and three. I
yeah,
mean, they're not even. I mean, that's another subject for a podcast. But
uh,
trilogies that were ruined after the first movie,
yeah,
but you had such a good base to work with, and this it's inspirational ending. You're like, they're gonna do it, Nick. I can't wait to see what happens. And then there's just more talking.
yeah.
It's like, okay.
Well, speaking of ruined things, Mike, last week we had a fun game. We called it Loser Talk.
Loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Yes.
Where
What
we
was
went
it,
through,
like the worst movies of the
yeah,
90s?
we went through the first half of the 50 worst movies of the 90s list provided by Stacker.com. So we thought we had so much fun doing it, and because this is our loser series, we thought we'd just kind of pick up on that this week. So we're going to head back to the worst list here and pick up the first top of the bracket, Mike, the creme de la creme of the stinkies.
Postman.
The best of the worst, Mike. So we're gonna pick up right where we left off. So we went down to 25 last time. For those that aren't familiar with the rules, me and Mike will go through this list, and to win it, you have to be the biggest loser, and you will be the biggest loser if you create the most points. Points are calculated by if you saw the movie in the theater, you get 2 points, but if you see the movie at home in its entirety, you get a point.
I need to. I don't know if do you still have a record from last time, because I need to make an amendment to the record.
I do, Mike.
Okay.
So.
The movie Virus. I was wrong. I did not see that in the theater. I saw it at home, so I needed to be deducted.
Oh, that makes things much more interesting, Mike.
Yes, I was caught unawares when you first brought it up, and I was like, I've seen it, but I thought it was in the theater, but I was corrected. And I just want to make sure that is put on the record.
All right. Tallied in the logbook for history.
Awesome.
That was number 41 on the list, the movie Virus. Did that have Russell Crowe in it and Denzel Washington? Or
No. You're thinking of Virtuosity.
Okay.
Virus was Jamie Lee Curtis, and they're on a boat that's abandoned. And
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. So if you've seen the movie at home in its entirety, it's a point. But if you've seen the movie in the theater, it's 2 points. So. And again, Mike, we'll use the honor system.
All right.
We will know of each other's lying.
Oh, yeah.
We will sense it. So let's pick up with number 24. I still know what you did last summer.
The second one. Yes, I did see that one.
I did. I think I saw that one.
I didn't see it at the theater, though. I saw it at home.
Yeah, 1 point each. I'm going to penalize myself on that. Oh, here we go. Look who's talking to TOO, Mike.
I saw it at the theater.
Oh, come on.
Oh, I'm so sad.
I don't think we can be friends anymore. Sorry.
I was dragged kicking and screaming just like a baby.
I saw the first one, not this one. Okay. The next one is the Psycho, but the remake from 1998 with Gus Van Sant.
No,
No.
When I heard it was a shot-for-shot remake, my first thought was why. My second thought was no.
Well, I stomached through it to tell you why, and you were right. It's garbage.
Okay.
Horrible. Number 21 on the list is The Next Karate Kid, 1994. This is the Hilary Swank version.
I did not. I've seen parts of it, but no, I haven't. I have not watched that movie.
Yeah, I need Danny. All right, here we go. The number 20, The Island of Dr. Moreau, 1996.
Yes, I heard how big of a train wreck it was when they made it, and so I had to watch it. But it wasn't at the theater. I watched it on.
I saw this front and center in the theater.
Did you? Oh my god!
Fantastic! Loved it.
Brando's monkey.
That's totally got to be on our list to cover.
Yeah.
All right. The next one here is 19. Striptease from 1996. Demi Moore.
No, I had no interest in seeing that, so I stayed away.
Me either. Here we go. Next one on the list is from 1997. Home Alone 3.
No, I have not seen any Home Alone movie.
Really?
No,
Not even the first one?
I'm going to keep it that way. Yes, not even the first one.
Wow.
I hate movies. I haven't watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I hate movies with kids in it that just are better than they should be.
Precocious.
Yeah. Thank you. Very precocious teenagers, even.
Okay, fair enough. All right. Number 17 on the list is from 1993. Look Who's Talking Now.
Oh my gosh. Was this the third one?
This is the second one.
That was the second one. Okay. What was that?
No, you're right. I'm sorry. This is the third one. You're right.
Okay. I forgot they made a third one. I did not see this one.
This is the one where they thought the talking baby premise was played out, so they let the dogs talk in this one.
Oh. Roseanne Barr was in it, right?
Roseanne Barr, Danny DeVito, and Diane Keaton.
Oh my gosh. Unbelievable.
And Kirstie Alley and John Travolta too. They both. All right.
Pulp Fiction wasn't enough for you, John? Come on.
Yeah. Yeah, the same year as Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Oh boy. You need to talk to that agent. That's the coin flip method of what movie to take. All right. Species 2 from 1998 is the next one.
No, I saw the first one. I didn't see the second
one. First one's a great sci-fi movie. This one didn't bother
not so much.
Here we go. Number 15 is Biodome.
I've had this like guilty instinct to want to watch it, but I never saw it.
All right, well, okay, that's fair. I'm going to own it. I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw it on HBO.
Okay.
I didn't pay like real money for it.
Gosh, as we get close to the top, I realize I have many movies I haven't seen.
Yeah. All right, that's a good thing. These are bad. We should be seeing these.
I know.
Should
avoid at all costs.
as educated, cultured film fans, we should know enough to stay away from these. That's the point, I guess. All right, number 14 on the list here is Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
No,
No.
Sylvester Stallone had that time period where he had movies like that were just unwatchable.
Finally, a vehicle for Estelle Getty and Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Number 13, this was a big hit with the guys from The Postman, Mike, the 8-Ball Jacket guys. Universal Soldier, The Return.
Return?
Yeah, sorry, this is
This is
Jean-Claude Van Damme. Yeah.
Okay, so this isn't the second one, or
It's the second one, sorry. Yeah.
Okay, not. Oh man, no, Dolph Lundgren.
I'm guessing 0.
Yeah, I didn't see this one. No.
All right. Okay, we're doing much better this time, Mike.
It had Kruger in it though. Remember?
That's right.
George's boss was in Universal. Of all the coincidences.
Yeah. All right. Number 12 on the list is Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday.
Yes, I did see that one.
In the theater?
Yep.
Look, I did not see that one.
You didn't?
Like all these famous like horror films, Jason and Freddy. I've only seen the first ones. I haven't seen any sequels.
I've kind of cherry picked some of them, but yeah, I have seen a good bit of the sequels, but not all of them.
Right.
So.
Okay. The next one on the list is Inspector Gadget.
No, again, if it had Matthew Broderick in it, it was a no-go for me.
Okay, fair enough. We're in the top 10 now, Mike.
Yay!
I don't think this is any progressive order. I think it's just a list. So in no particular order, but number 10 is RoboCop 3.
Wow, that still had Peter Weller in it, or was it going after that?
Robert Burke played it here.
Oh my gosh, no, I had no clue on that one. I saw the first two.
I saw the third one. I told you how terrible it was, but that's all I remember. That's all I remember about it. Number 9 is Super Mario Brothers.
Yes, I did.
Not the good one, but the one from 1992.
Yeah, the Dennis Hopper as Goomba or as Koopa. Yeah, that was good stuff there. It's
okay.
Me and my son watched it as a goof, and I thoroughly laughs were had. Let's put it that way.
You're playing with the kid. I love it. Speaking of video game movies, the next one is Street Fighter from 1994 with Jean-Claude Van Damme and Raul Julia.
Oh, yeah, he was Bison or something. No, I didn't. I did not see that one.
No, 0 for me too. Okay, the final path here. 1997 Speed 2 Cruise Control.
Yes, I saw it, but it was on HBO.
Okay, I did not see that one.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm promise you I'm telling you the truth here. Number 6 is The Avengers, but not the good one. This is the one with Ray Fiennes and Uma Thurman and Sean Connery, Mike. And Sean Connery's toupee.
It's the remake of the 60s TV show, right?
Yeah.
No, yeah, I did not see that one.
I think I watched that because I was all things Uma for a good part of my 20s. No matter what. All right. Number 5, this is an easy one. Batman and Robin. I think we covered that.
We both suffer that one.
Those listening for the first time, I think this was our season premiere. Go back for listening to that podcast. That's a really good one. We think so. Our mom said it was. So, number 4, another video game movie, Mike. Mortal Kombat: Annihilation from 1997. No,
I did not see that one.
Okay. All right. Final 3 here. Barbed Wire.
Pamela Anderson. No,
Pamela's Barbarella.
Yes.
I watched the opening sequence and then said, okay, I get what this movie is about. So that's a 0 for both of us, Mike.
Cold as ice.
Cold as ice, exactly.
Is that the last one?
That's the one. The final 2 here is from 1994, Police Academy, Mission to Moscow.
Oh my gosh. How deep down the roster is that in Police Academy?
This is the 7th one.
Oh my goodness.
And it made $126,000 at the
least. Okay. That's considered the worst movie of the 90s.
No, we got one more to go.
Oh, is there one more after this?
Oh, yeah.
But suffice it to say, I didn't see Moscow and the Hudson or whatever. No,
I did see the first Police Academy movie, though.
I did too. Yeah. Can't beat that one.
It would take me forever to get caught up on 7 of them.
Golly.
You get so lost. All right, Mike. So this last one is from 1999. It was directed by Bob Clark of Christmas Story fame, Baby Geniuses from 1999.
Ah, that was Bob Clark. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Christopher Lloyd's the nadir of his career. Kathleen Turner too, right? Just
Yeah, I want to say like John.
she might have been the second one. There was two of the. There was a two or three of those things.
I think John Voight's in this.
Oh boy.
And
Wow.
the good thing here was they used like CGI to make the babies talk, so it looked really
Yeah.
good. But it made enough money to make a sequel.
I know. Oh wow. And no, I did not see it. I did not want to. Did not. I refused.
All right, so let's tally up our scores here
Oh.
quick, Mike.
We had a lot of missed movies there. Looks like.
All right, so of those 25 movies, out of a potential 50 points, Mike, you got 11 points, and I got 9.
Oh no.
So
Oh no.
I've seen less, so technically you suffered slightly more. So that puts our grand total, Mike. So you had a 26 total points, and I had 23 total points. So you have suffered the most. Therefore, you are the biggest loser, Mike. Congratulations. You fanfare.
My reward should be is to watch The Matrix 2 and watch Neo fight 1,000 Agent Smiths at one time. That should be.
Yeah, and all those times he gets hurt. Oh, that's right.
Oh yeah. Well, there you go.
Well, thanks, guys. So I feel better now, Mike. It's been lifted a little bit out of the fog. I think I like it a little bit more now. I think you convinced me a little bit. So the pendulum is swinging a little bit more towards tolerable. But we probably should talk about Planet of the Apes instead here, but whatever. All right, so that's going to kind of wrap it up. So just remember, if this is the first time you're listening to us, you can check us out on social media. On Instagram, we're at Grumpy Nostalgia. You can send us an email at nostalgiagrumps@gmail.com. We have a YouTube channel. If you're ever curious or bored at work, you can click on to YouTube and click on the Grumpy Nostalgia channel, where we currently feature just essentially audio versions of our podcast, but we're working on getting some video up there in the near future. I just want to give a shout out to the good folks at Good Pod. We mentioned last month that we were top of the charts, Mike. That was for the month of April. I didn't want to be misleading. We were the #1 cinema podcast on their charting site. We are currently the number 25 ranked all-time cinema movie podcast for those guys. So there you go. And we are the number 3 top nostalgia podcast on that charting service as well, Mike. So
cool.
We're hitting a couple of niches, scratching a couple of itches, as they say, Mike. So that's going to kind of wrap it up for us, guys. We have to take a break. We've got some friends coming back to join us for the shows coming up here in the near future. So we're excited about that. So stay tuned, and we'll be bringing you some fantastic movies for the balance of our season. And again, well, thank you guys for listening. We really do appreciate it. We would appreciate also if you could tell people about the show, and if you could rate and review our show, that would be fantastic. We love that, especially on Apple. That algorithm is really important in driving new listeners to the show, so if you can rate and review, that'd be great. So Mike, that's going to kind of wrap it up for this week. Anything else you want to say before we leave here today?
You hear that sound? That's the sound of Justin snoring. It's inevitable.
Yeah. Mr. Wizard, get me the hell out of here. All right, so for Mike James, this is Justin, and we will see you again next time. Ba, 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 ba. Bam.
I know Kung Fu.